Hey there, it's DeFi Alpha from Umami Finance. For those of you who just hopped on, just wanted to let you guys know we're going to be starting very soon, giving folks just a few more minutes to join the call. Thanks so much. So we have Simone here from Impermax Finance, and we are going to get started. Just a quick overview. So this is the third episode of Arbitrum Insider. It's typically
protocol where you can use LP token as collateral to enhance your farming position. And through this interview, we are going a bit over the details of Impermax Finance. It's basically a tool that allows you to manage risk for yield farmer.
Great. Thanks so much. Yeah, I think that, Impermax is very interesting and exciting to us because you guys have solved a problem that's been really central for, a lot of people in DeFi, which is the issue of impermanent loss on LP positions. So I know that, that's a major hesitation for, a lot of investors who, otherwise would love to have access to, some of the yields, particularly on incentivized farms, but they're wary of impermanent loss, especially for pairs that do not necessarily correlate that much in their price movements, and so there's higher potential risk for IL. So I know that you guys have a solution to it, and along with that solution, there's also some very cool strategies that are opened up on the leveraged LP investing side. So do you want to just kind of walk people through how that works?
Yeah, sure. So the way that I like to think about Impermax Finance is that it is a tool that allows a liquidity provider to manage their risk. So normally when you provide liquidity to a DEX, you have a very certain return, which is the APR that you earn, and you have a very certain risk, which is the impermanent loss. And over that, you don't have many options. Impermax Finance, on the other hand, allows yield farmer to choose their risk reward. It gives yield farmer more option, and basically it gives two separate options, which is the landing option, which is less risky and less rewarding, and then there is the leverage your farming option, which is obviously more risky and more rewarding. And in particular, with the landing option, you lend your tokens to other yield farmer, and so you are not exposed to impermanent loss. And this is like a very big selling point because for Impermax Finance, because it allows yield farmer to like earn a return over their asset without impermanent loss. And on the other side, there is leverage yield farming, where you basically use your LP token as collateral to borrow funds to enhance your liquidity providing position. So you obviously earn a greater return, but you are also more exposed to eventual impermanent loss.
Great. That's very helpful. And I think, one thing that I'm sure people will be interested in, so your lending feature eliminates that IL risk, but the potential returns are still quite high. So you're only forfeiting, in some cases, a modest amount of APR. I'm looking at your Arbitrum pairs right now, and I'm seeing, USDT, and the ETH USDT pair has a supply APR of 23.25%. This is for the ETH USDT pair on SushiSwap. IMX for your core ETH IMX LP, 30.4%. And this is, without risk of IL. It's practically, like single-sided staking. So can you just sort of, maybe walk people through, the potential for, really strong but still, IL risk-free returns here?
Yeah, the return for lending are still quite high because a lot of people don't realize that there are very good opportunities in yield farming, but they refuse to farm using their token because they are afraid of impermanent loss. But Impermax Finance shows that even for lending, so single stride staking, there are great return. In addition to that, on Impermax, we also give a farming reward in IMX. So this is also one of the reasons why APRs on Impermax are particularly good at the moment.
That makes sense. Yeah, and that might be a good segue into talking a little bit about the IMX token. Just for those who don't know, the nature of the partnership that Umami is entering into with Impermax is that we're going to be setting up an IMX XIMX LP on Uniswap v3 right here on Arbitrum, which is going to bring some pretty exciting new functionalities to Arbitrum for the Impermax protocol that weren't here before. Do you want to just walk people through a little bit with your token? There's been some pretty exciting positive price action recently as well. But yeah, just very curious to have you walk people through this.
Yeah, so IMX is basically our governance token through which we redistribute the protocol profits to the token holders. And currently, we already have two staking options on Ethereum, which are XIMX, where you stake IMX and you earn IMX. So the way it works is that we use protocol profits to do buyback, and then we redistribute the IMX to the staker. And we also have a second staking option where you stake IMX and earn USDC. And basically, both staking options have a similar APR, and the staker can choose whether they want to earn from protocol profits in IMX or USDC. So they have this option. Yeah, this is basically the main utility of IMX. And then, of course, we give it as reward also for farming. It was very useful as farming reward to bootstrap liquidity for the protocol. But right now, most of what you earn using Impermax Finance doesn't come from the IMAX reward, but comes from the underlying incentives of the DEX on which Impermax works.
Great, that's very helpful. And just so that people know, can you give them a sense of what the APR for staking IMX or XIMX is? I mean, the fact that you can potentially get USDC passive income from this is surely pretty exciting for people. So can you sort of share what things are looking like now from APR?
So I would say on average, the APR is around 50%, so it's very high. I'm looking at the moment, and the APY for staking in IMX is 40%, but it is quite volatile. I would say that over the last few months, it was about 50% on average, which is like incredibly high considering that all the APR come from protocol profits.
Wow. Yeah, you and I need to have a conversation soon about, maybe Umami doing some capital deployments to, the USDC side for sure, or the XIMX with the IMX payouts. Those are really strong, especially for single-sided staking. And I know you guys made some changes recently. I mean, there's just a few things that I'll flag, and then I'll let you elaborate on them that are very bullish for IMX. You guys are, obviously a cross-chain protocol. You've expanded to Arbitrum. You're on Polygon. Recently moved to Phantom. I know that while we were in the process of discussing our partnership, we had to put things on hold for a while for the token swap element of it because your price went from when we started talking it was around 8 cents per IMX. It went as high as looks like over 35 cents per IMX token, and even now, after that sort of initial surge of price action cooled off a bit, you're still, basically 2x where you were, just a few weeks ago. And I know that, part of that was Phantom, and part of that was also some changes you've made to your tokenomics in terms of, allowing rewards to be distributed to stakers sooner than before. But do you kind of just want to walk people through what's been behind some of that very bullish action on your token lately?
Yeah, sure. I think most of that price action was due to the launch on Phantom. And in particular, because we launched leveraged yield farming on top of Solidly. And well, Impermax Finance is basically a tool which allows to get the best out of farming opportunities. And on Solidly, there were and there are great farming opportunities. So obviously, Impermax was extremely useful in that scenario, and we were able to get to several millions of TVL on Phantom in just a few days. So it is Impermax is very used for farming on Solidly, which meant that we are also earning a lot of protocol profits now that we have launched on Phantom. And so this is the main reason why the token price went up so much.
Great. No, that's helpful. And I think, one of the things that, speaks to the resilience of what you guys are building is that, obviously there was the announcement from Kronji that he's going to be, a lot of his ecosystem, including Solidly, is going to be sort of wound down over the next couple of months. And yet, we still continue to see positive price action, which suggests that, people see your project as having, broad applicability across the network, beyond its current deployments. Is that sort of how you're thinking about it as well?
Yeah, sure. The way I see it is that Solidly gave Impermax a lot more visibility now, but obviously the utility of Impermax doesn't stop to Solidly, but it applies to basically any yield farming opportunity.
Great. And, sort of just going back to Arbitrum, you guys have more than 6 million in TVL already on the network. You have almost 50 million TVL across all of the chains that you operate on. And, I'm seeing there's a lot of pairs, including some of the core pairs with, that people I know are very popular in Arbitrum. Magic ETH, I see here, Geom ETH, which is incentivized by their Proteus incentives. You have Spell. It's a really wide array, including and also some stablecoin pairs, which actually I will talk more about because those are something that Umami uses. But do you want to, if you can, is there any sort of alpha you can share, either in terms of specifics or just kind of general thoughts about sort of how you want to continue to expand your presence on Arbitrum and some things that people might be able to look forward to doing with you guys in the near future?
So yeah, on Arbitrum, we are looking at some farming opportunities. Unfortunately, at the moment, there aren't a lot of opportunities that we can implement like in the very near future. But I think there will be some. And hopefully, we hope that on Arbitrum, there will be also more DEXs in future that will bring new farming opportunities. And I think, yeah, in the next few months, we will see a lot more farming opportunities on Arbitrum. And once that happens, we will surely bring those also to Impermax.
Great. Yeah, no. And we have the same view. And I will say that, Umami is working with, partners, pretty much, talking to people every day and about, different potential collabs. But, we are building, some new strategies on our end. We have a suite of auto compounders through our Arbitrum Finance affiliate project that will be deployed to, farms across Arbitrum, and boost the yields even further. We're always using our Uniswap V3 platform, which is led by Stephen T, Neo Tokyo Cat, who's on here, to build, more LPs and help people on board to the network. Obviously, our own partnership is through that platform. So yeah, no, I mean, I think we want to play an active role. You guys want to play an active role, and I think that the energy on the ecosystem just continues to pick up. One thing that I wanted to share, in our experience that we've really liked about Impermax is, I think that this is worth getting into a little bit. I mean, what's so exciting about you guys is that you allow, sort of as you've shared with people, the possibility of setting up, very tailored risk hedged LP yield strategies. So, people who want to minimize IL, particularly on, pairs where the price action on the two tokens in the pair is quite volatile. They can lend and, forfeit a little bit of APR, but get rid of the IL risk completely. But then on the other side, what's very exciting, this is something that we do. I guess it's true of both of the pairs that we have capital deployed into with you guys, is that you can also take a leveraged position on pairs and greatly enhance returns. I mean, I'm seeing right here on your app, Magic ETH can be as high as 398% APR, through a leveraged LP position. And with certain pairs where there's not a lot of price volatility between them, it's a reasonably safe option. So one thing that we do, I'll share, is that we have a leveraged USDT USDC position, and that's historically been very high yielding for us, because obviously they're both stables. There's not a tremendous amount of volatility between them, and that's allowed us to maximize our stablecoin farming returns with pretty minimal risk. So I guess I don't know if you have any comments on this, Simone, but to me this is an exciting option for people to kind of dial up and dial down risk to kind of optimize it depending on the nature of the pair they're providing capital to. And it's part of, I think, a broader trend that we're seeing of more and more opportunities for people to continue to really take advantage of everything DeFi has to offer, but in a much more risk hedged and strategic way than in the past.
Yeah, that's very true. And there are also other options available with Impermax, because since we allow you to borrow tokens, you can also hedge your position against a particular token. So, for instance, let's take the ETH USDC LP. If you are particularly bullish on Ethereum, you could, for example, borrow only USDC to get more ETH USDC in your position, and in this way you can your position is hedged, and you're exposed just to Ethereum. And this is very useful, especially for high risk token, because a lot of times there are pair that gives insane APR, but maybe one of the two tokens of the pair is an high risk asset. And so you can borrow the high risk asset, create your LP position, and your position is hedged just on the asset that you think it's safer. So by doing this, you are still exposed to impermanent loss for that pair, but you are exposed to the price action of just a single token. And there are a lot of similar strategies available with Impermax. And one of the things that we will do in the future is to make it a lot easier to the final user to use these strategies through Impermax.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and that's very sort of in alignment with the sort of thing that we like to do. Actually, we, as I think we maintain not a completely delta neutral treasury at Umami, but we're heavily hedged against market risk, and sort of as you described it, our goal is also to have very focused exposure to upside from the Arbitrum network and the growth of the Arbitrum ecosystem, while hedging out just kind of the general market volatility that causes, core cryptos to move around, as much as they've been lately. So, that's just it. I think that's going to be, first of all, that's something that we're interested in, the type of strategy you're describing with, very much sort of risk hedged exposure to a specific, slice of yield and one underlying token in a pair. But I think that's probably broadly appealing to many investors. One thing that I wanted to also just have us touch on a little bit more, Simone, is just the nature of our specific partnership. So for those who don't know, basically the structure is that we are going to be building a IMX XIMX pair on Uniswap v3 probably this week, and that's going to bring the full suite of staking functionality that Simone was describing earlier. So over 40% APR on IMX or staked IMX, either in USDC or stables. I'm sorry, either in USDC or IMX to Arbitrum. So you won't need to bridge to Polygon or mainnet anymore to do that. But do you want to just sort of, Simone, talk through sort of the functionality of this and how bringing the LP is allowing people to do more with IMX on Arbitrum and sort of what that means for holders here?
Yeah, sure. So basically, the way IMX staking work is that it is implemented on Ethereum mainnet. So by default, IMX holder can stake IMX only on Ethereum. However, when you stake IMX, you get XIMX, which is a receipt token that represent your staking position. So we are actually able to bring IMX staking cross-chain by bridging XIMX to other chain and selling it on the market, especially on Uniswap v3. And for the moment, the only chain where XIMX is available, except Ethereum, is Polygon, where we already have an IMX XIMX pair on Uniswap, and now through this partnership, we will bring XIMX also to Arbitrum, which means IMX holders on Arbitrum will be able to buy and sell XIMX on Uniswap through the liquidity that Umami will place.
Great, yeah, and we're really excited to do that. I mean, this is kind of for us a very good example of the sort of partnerships we like to do. So we first of all, we're very bullish on your asset IMX, so we feel very comfortable kind of holding that through this LP. The LP itself, as you and I have discussed, it's one where there's very low IL risk because XIMX and IMX are obviously going to track each other, so it's a very good and appealing deal for us, and also, it just brings new functionality to Arbitrum. And the other thing that I'll add, I think one thing that will be interesting to watch on Arbitrum and other networks over the, coming months is, we have Uniswap v3 here on Arbitrum right now. Umami is, I think, the only project I'm aware of that's sort of actively trying to set up new LPs on UniV3 on Arbitrum and migrate more liquidity there. But, over time, I think we're going to see that that DEX become a major focus for trading pairs because you get the benefit of concentrated liquidity. So in the case of IMX, XIMX, what's particularly cool is that the underlying size of this LP is only going to be 50,000 USD to start, but the potential trading liquidity is going to be very, very high because as we've mentioned, XIMX and IMX they're going to trade very much in tandem, so we can concentrate our liquidity pretty much right at the existing exchange ratio between the two of them, and as a result, with only 50K of liquidity on Uniswap v3, there's still going to be, I think, very, very low slippage, and it'll be very easy for people to move even pretty considerable blocks of capital in and out of both of those assets.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a very cool thing about Uniswap v3. And this is also one of the reasons why we are particularly bullish on Uniswap v3, and it is our plan to in future build an Impermax version for Uniswap v3.
Yeah, no, we would be really excited to see that happen. I mean, that would be, I think, really good for the network. And again, the beauty of fast-growing ecosystems like Arbitrum is anytime a great partner like Impermax does something cool like that moves the network forward, it opens up opportunities for everyone else to build, complementary functionalities. So, one thing we would like to do is to help, enhance returns for, Uniswap v3 and for, products like what Impermax is building with our auto compounders. Umami Finance, as I mentioned, has a pretty wide variety of them already for different pairs on Arbitrum, but the more liquidity moves to the network, more LP pairs emerge. That's going to mean, more cool lend borrow opportunities on Impermax, and auto compounders from Umami Finance, and the two probably can complement each other in various ways to continue to attract indirect liquidity. So I think it's just a very exciting time for both of us and for the ecosystem as a whole. And I think Simone, did you want to flag anything else? If not, I might hand it over to questions from our listeners.
I think we covered a bit of everything, so we can pass to answering questions if there are any.
Excellent, great. So, does anybody on the Twitter Spaces have questions? I should also add that on Umami Finance's Discord, for those of you who are on it, we also have an AMA questions and chat channel in our general section of our Discord. So if anyone has questions but isn't in a position where they can talk or doesn't want to voice docs, they can just drop them there. But let's open it up to questions. Does anybody want to ask Simone anything? Obviously, a lot of really cool things going on at Impermax. All right, it's looking pretty quiet right now. I know we covered a lot in our conversation. I'll give it one more minute. Sometimes people take a moment to formulate their questions, but if not, we can wrap it up for the day. I just want to thank everyone for listening, and Simone, I really want to thank you for coming on. I think this was a great conversation, and a lot of really cool stuff going on with your project. I think it's really solves a pretty fundamental problem in DeFi, which is IL on yield farming, and I think it's great that you guys have moved to Arbitrum and are building all the things you're building here. So really look forward to continuing to work with you. We'll be announcing the LP that we're building with Impermax when it goes live, which will probably be this week. And so I just want to remind you guys that this is the Arbitrum Insider podcast. We're going to do this generally bi-weekly with different projects on the network, and you'll have an opportunity to get some alpha, get to know team leads, and just learn a lot about everything going on here on Arbitrum. So thank you so much, and we'll all hear from you guys soon.